Welcome to Just the Two of Us Homestead. We are Colleen and Frank, and we live in the perfect size homestead just for us in southwestern Quebec. Gardening, growing food, and preserving is one of our passions. And our barn animals, we love them so much, they're just like pets. And we're so fortunate to be able to live our lives as we do. Each and every day is a blessing. Hi, everyone. Happy end of December 2024, and I'm finally getting around to doing a pantry tour. I'm going to do it really quick and not fast to go through it, but I think I even canned less this year, but there's a few reasons for that, and I'll explain. I definitely did more just like ingredient canning. I'm not thinking of the right word, and you're going to have to forgive me because I lose my words a lot right now, but I didn't do a lot of like recipe canning. I just kind of did more ingredient canning this year. And everything that's canned, there might be one or two things that isn't from our garden, and I'll point those out. And everything that I do have a recipe for and a video for, I will link for you in the description. So I think we'll just get started. And sorry, I forgot to mention, if you're new here, welcome. My pantry is an unfinished part of our basement. So it's not a cellar per se, but it's a very cool room. I should have brought down my little thermometer to show you, but it's not a pretty pantry. It's functional, and I love every square inch of it. So it's functional over pretty. And Frank did most of the shelves. Some of them were already here when we moved in. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I bought this place, because as soon as I saw this room, I knew it would be my pantry. So it's just long and narrow, which makes it awkward for filming, but I always work around it. So that's it. Let's get going. So when you come into my pantry, it goes like this. It's long and narrow. So most of the food is all on this side. And I have empty jars and things right down from the bottom all the way up to the top. I have lots of jars, and those are down here. These are big, like gallon and half gallon jars. I have lots of empties to put away there. These are all jars. And in that blue bucket are jars that we've just recently gone through, I have to put away. So I'll explain where I got my jars too, so if anyone wants to know that. So as you can see here, and if you look around as we're doing the pantry tour, most of my jars are in really old boxes. And that's because I've gotten most of them through local auctions, yard sales, some through thrift stores, but mainly auctions and yard sales. So I have lots and lots of jars, but I haven't spent lots of money. And a lot of them, I'm trying to find one for you, but of course I can't right now. Most of my jars are the square jars because the older ones aren't the round, like ball jars, the Bernardin jars. I have the tall square ones, so you'll see a lot of that. So I have lots of jars, but I didn't pay retail prices for most of them. I did for the jelly jars. It's hard to find those at auctions. All right, no more talking. Let's get going. So these are beets from 2 summers ago, because this summer I did pickle beets for the first time, and we love them. And I only have 4 jars left, 4 pints left. I don't think I'm even going to do regular beets anymore. We just love the pickle beets. And quite often when we have just regular beets, we eat them cold anyway. So we love the pickle beets. That's how I'm going to do them from now on. Green beans, I just did a few in pints because sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 vegetables for supper. So the green beans, I have lots, and it's done that way on purpose because last year we ran out, and I don't like running out of anything. And we eat green beans at least once, if not twice a week. So these go about 5 deep. So this should get us through till next year's growing season. And I love doing them with the zinc that I learned from Ruth Ann at Homesteading with the Zimmermans. I don't know if you can see how beautiful and green those beans are, and I will link that video for you because those are just beautiful beans. And here, I did this 2 years ago. There's only 2 jars left. These are beans I did in a barbecue sauce, and they're okay. I was just trying to use up finding different ways to use green beans 2 years ago, and I put them in a barbecue sauce. It was a recipe. I don't know even where I got it, and they're okay. So for the corn, we bought tons of corn this year from a local farmer near us and a farmer just over the border in New York. And I did can some, but we have discovered that we super duper love it frozen over canned. And I will always keep some canned just to have it shelf stable. But oh my gosh, when it's frozen, it's just absolutely delicious. It's like eating it off the cob. So we have tons of it frozen, but I do like to keep some canned. But when Frank's usually the one that comes down to get the food, and whenever we say we're going to have corn, he never picks it off the shelf. He keeps taking it out of the freezer. So I don't know if we're ever going to go through those. So these sad carrots are from a couple of years ago when I'm going to back you up. I feel like I'm right on top of you. I can't judge how close we are. Up until 2 or 3 years ago, I always canned my carrots. And I know I'm repeating myself for people who have seen our pantry tours before, but for anyone that's new, I don't can carrots anymore. When we harvest our carrots, they go into the fridge. We have an extra fridge downstairs and 2 large freezers. And I keep them in a plastic bag divided up with a little bit of an air hole. And last year we ate our carrots until February, and we ate them till they ran out, not because they went bad, we ate them up. So we're doing the same this year, and you'll see through the pantry challenge how we eat them fresh, how I still use them in recipes, how I'm going to be canning with them in different ways. So these are still carrots I have to use up in baking or different things. I don't use them really for anything now. So, and these potatoes were all the ones that I did a video on where I got all those potatoes for, was it 98 cents for 10 pounds, I think. So these are all beautiful Yukon Gold potatoes. I did a whole bunch and I made all those French fries. How many bags did I make? Like tons. Frank has gone through all of them. He's actually making more French fries today from our potatoes here because I'll show you. We have lots of potatoes and we're not going through them fast enough because all he eats now are these French fries. He loves them so much. So we have all these beautiful jars of potatoes that I'm so happy to have. And I used to dry can my potatoes, and I did that one time and I thought that was the better way, and it's not for me. I love cooking them in the water now, canning them in the water. All of this here, and I don't know why he takes it out of random places, but there's lots of it, and there needs to be lots of it. This is all homemade ketchup. And I promise you, it is the best ketchup in the whole world. And it is so thick and tasty. Frank brought up a new jar last night and opened it. And I was amazed because I don't use it. So when he opened it, I was shocked at how thick it was. I said, I can't believe how thick it is. It's almost tomato paste. So I have a video for this and to show you how you can thicken any tomato product so quickly, saving hours of time. So there's tons of ketchup, but he goes through this probably a jar every week, every 2 weeks max. So there has to be lots. And it's much, much healthier than the store-bought. And here I just have a few ketchups that I made a couple of years ago before I did this recipe. And look how liquidy and yuck they are. So I keep these ones for cooking. And I'm down to 2 jars left. I have 2 jars left to use up. So these ones here are pepper soup. It was our first time making it this year because we had a surplus of peppers, which we usually do. So generally when I have something in surplus in the garden, that's when I'll try new recipes once all our other needs are met. And I did a video with this too. And oh my gosh, we love this. Just love it. So I did some in quarts. I don't know where they are. Oh, here. I only did a few in quarts and I made that one a bit thicker. So this one we have over rice like as a meal. And this one is just like a soup to have like at lunch or something. But it is so tasty and it tastes just as good as if I made it fresh. It doesn't taste like different because it's canned at all. Really like it. Love it. This is turkey soup I made quite a while ago. And I did a video on that too when I had a turkey that I got on sale. I even canned some of the meat. The only difference I did with this is like I just made a turkey soup from after Christmas. And normally I would put like pasta in it. Because I canned it, I put potatoes in it. And I made, I think, like 25 jars of it. And Frank, he loves soup. He'll like have soup for lunch every day. So he's really enjoying this too. All right, we're going to move down to my broth and I'm going to get a little stool to sit on. I had to put on a sweater. It's getting chilly. Let's see if you guys notice anything about my sweater that's different this time in a pantry tour. So these are all my homemade broths or stocks. I just did another chicken one because I was getting low, but I think they're beautiful. When I do my chicken stocks, I do put I keep all the scraps of carrots, celeries, and onions, so I do put that in mine. I have a few jars of a vegetable stock that I did a couple of years ago. There's only a few of those left because at one time I had way too many of the scraps and no bones to go with it. And then all over here is beef, and that's all just fat at the top. There's nothing wrong with it. And I probably have about a third of the beef, but I still have beef bones from our cow from a year ago, so I can make more of that. Now we're at the tomato section. And again, if you're new here and you see my very sophisticated labeling system in my lovely masking tape, I don't come down here very often. I have fibromyalgia and recently a few other health issues. So Frank, this is in our basement and we live in a bungalow. So Frank is the one that comes up and downstairs most of the time. Now, obviously, he can tell green beans from corn and that. But when it comes to things like the tomato products, I know what they are because I can them. And quite honestly, even sometimes I can mix up a pizza sauce to a marinara sauce. So just for him, even though it's written on the the lids of the jars. For him, at a quick glance, I just put what they are here, and then he can just quickly see it, get the jar, and come back upstairs. And I do it on like this, so I can just take off the labels as things get moved and shoved around. So that's my labeling system. So this is all tomato sauce done in different size jars. Use it for all kinds of things, just like everybody else. Diced tomatoes. I didn't do any this year because I still had some from last year. Pizza sauce. We have plenty of it. And that was just because I had a little bit left over. We generally use almost one of these. We have pizza about once every 2 weeks. So I always have that. I even have some frozen from a different recipe. And this is homemade spaghetti sauce with meat like that. We've made pasta sauce so that you're not that. You're pulled pork. Here. So again, these are just 2 different batches. That's why they look different. So I have 8 of those left. And what was this? This is pulled pork that I did in 2022. And it's okay. I don't find the recipe was very tasty. The meat came out tender, but the sauce that the recipe called for isn't very barbecue-ish. So when we open it, oh, I didn't tell you about my barbecue sauce here. This was a copycat sugar, what's that? Sweet Baby Ray's. I'm mixing it up. I can't think of my words. So it was so easy to make, and it's so delicious. So when we open up a jar of this, because it doesn't even look like a barbecue sauce, so we take a jar of this and put it with that because the sauce isn't very flavorful, but the meat came out nice and tender. And this is all salsa, and everything in it is from the garden. Celery, onion, I think there's even carrot in there. I might have just thrown that in for extra. And there's lots of that, and just for tacos and stuff. And this is another problem of mine. These are all here is tomato juice. Because whenever I do a tomato preserving project, I can't throw out the beautiful juice that it leaves behind. And I mean, we drink it, but not like every day. And there's 2 recipes that I can that I need it in, but other than that, I have a lot of tomato juice, but I mean, look how beautiful. I just can't throw it out. I've even given some to the chickens. And all here, and I did them in pints because it makes a perfect meal just for the 2 of us, is a roasted marinara sauce that I took out of the Ball canning book. So all the tomatoes were roasted. You roast the onion and garlic, and it makes for a very tasty sauce. So if we don't feel like a pasta sauce with meat, and the marinara is more versatile, and it's really good. It's my 2nd year doing it, so we like that. So here is 3 bean salad that I make every single year, and we love it. When you open a jar of this in the middle of winter, it's like opening a jar of summer, and it tastes and keeps its consistency in that, like you just made a bean salad. So we really like that. And this is what I'm going to do with you next summer for sure, because I love this coleslaw recipe. This one's in like a sweet vinegar brine, but if you prefer like the mayonnaise brine, you just drain it off and you could use it like that. This I love so much. So I'll do this with you next year for sure. I love that recipe. And this here is just sweet pickle relish that I made a couple of years ago and discovered it's not one of our favorite things. That's one thing I've learned throughout the years, is just because everybody else makes something doesn't mean you have to have it on your pantry shelf. And we like it, but it's not something we use or really gravitate to. So I've got this down to 4 jars and these ones down to 3, and I had a lot. So we're working our way through it, but I will not make it again unless it's for gifts for somebody. All right. Oh, here. How could I not talk about the most beautiful thing in the world is the roasted red peppers. These are Advarsky peppers. These are done in olive oil and a little bit of, I think I used apple cider vinegar. I have a video for this too. Oh my gosh. This is heaven in a jar. Like, look how beautiful. I have garlic in here too. These are fantastic. We put these on pizza. We have them when we're doing like tacos, if we're having, depending on what type of beef, on hamburgers as a side. I can just stand there at the kitchen counter and eat them out of the jar. These are my favorite thing, I think, out of everything is this. They are so good. All right, let's move down. Oh, sorry. I keep saying we're going to do something and then I don't do it. So I made dill pickles for the very first time this year. Taste is fantastic. I use Mrs. Wage's packaging thing, which I've never done in my life, except I didn't use pickling cucumbers. I used those mini cucumbers that I had growing like crazy. So they're a wee bit mushy. So again, it's something we're going to have to work our way through. I can put them in tuna, egg salad, stuff like that, but they're not crunchy like a good pickle, but the flavor is excellent. So lesson learned. If I want to do it again, I will definitely grow pickling cucumbers and do it again because I love the flavor. All right, we'll move down to the bottom. So down from all the tomato products, I have a few jars of beef stew. That one's not. That one's another pulled pork. Some beef stew, 2 different batches, so they look different depending on what I did. Just a few jars of that left, and we love having that. I have some canned chicken and the turkey that I did when I did the turkey soup. So all of these are pie fillings. I have blueberry pie filling, and then obviously I didn't have enough to make another thing, but I often make hand pie, so I don't mind having little sizes. So I have blueberry. Oh, more tomato juice. You're not in the right place. I have apple, peach, and pear. And I really love the pear. Actually, I like the peach too. Frank's more traditional with the apple and blueberry, and I kind of like the peach and pear. So that's why I'll make hand pies, and I'll make them in all the flavors, and we can just take a few out at a time and enjoy them that way. All right, move on. We're getting into really tight corners now, so sorry about that, and I'm sorry about the lighting. It's fluorescent and it's all above me. So again, these were pickled peppers from 2 years ago. Not something we go to, but I'm getting through them. Corn relish I did 2 years ago. I only have 3 jars. Did I do 3? 3 jars left. And it's not something I'll make again. Either it was the recipe or what, but I just found it so vinegary. So it's not the corn relish so much I didn't like. It's tons of vinegar. So if you guys have a different recipe, then I'd be open to hear that, but just really wasn't for us. So I did dust these guys very well, so don't look. I tried my best to get it pretty for you. So here I have apple butter, pear butter, and all of this is applesauce. And again, I can it in different sizes depending what I need it for. And here are pears. These are really good, and I found an even faster and better way to can peaches and pears, and I'll show you that next summer. And I get all this produce from the Amish at a really good price, and the peaches again this year were just big and beautiful. So we have lots of that to get through the winter. Down here, I have a little bit of grape jelly left. Apple jelly from last summer when I just boiled up the cores and stuff to make a jelly. I made blueberry jam this year. This is apple pie jam from 2 years ago. It is beautiful and it literally tastes like you're eating an apple pie out of a jar. I only have 2 jars of strawberry jam left. I did a refrigerator jam and this, but I have strawberries in the freezer and a pear jam. And over here, oh, these are a Christmas jam from last year. These are strawberries and cranberries. Here is homemade corn syrup that I did last summer that I boiled down all our corn cobs and that. Rachel from that 1870s Homestead did this, and I thought, oh, wow, let's try that. It'll be a healthier version of if I need a corn syrup and baking or whatever, or taste. She found it very similar to like maple syrup in that, but I didn't. So that's just sitting there. But what I'm very proud of and happy with this year, it's my 3rd year making grape juice, or 3rd season. And I made, these are Concord grapes that I got from the Amish. And I got it right this year. I've made it too thick. I've made it too thin or too concentrated. I can just stand here and drink this. It is so good. No sugar added. Just, I couldn't get the consistency right of the grapes. And I have some apple juice here. And I think that's about it. Except I'll show you along this wall what we have. So all along the bottom here, they're raised up on wood, so they're not touching the ground, is our potatoes from the garden and our sweet potatoes, which I'm using sparingly. I'm trying to hold on to them too. But we do have a lot of potatoes, which is great. And they're not sprouting. They're not doing anything. Well, there's a few here that are, but red potatoes never last as long. So he's cooking some up into French fries now. And we just keep our eye on them. And if I do see signs of them, you know, like, oops, sorry, getting soft or anything, then I will can them up. But they're doing great. And Frank loves potatoes. So if you think this is a lot, it's not. Okay, then all along this shelf is just store-bought things or extra storage, like apple cider vinegar, molasses, lemon juice, dish soap tabs. Now, this is a guilty pleasure for me. We eat hot chicken sandwiches or hot turkey sandwiches, and we love this gravy or whatever that goes with it. And when we get it on sale, because it's usually very expensive, so if we can find it on sale for like 99 cents a tin, that is what we buy a lot of. So this is like a little guilty pleasure. Here we like this brand of peas. Same thing we'll get at Costco or something. I have extra pasta that has to go into better containers, rice, some breadcrumbs there that if I don't have my own, way too many cream of something soups. And that's about it. Just extra jars everywhere. So that's it. I think I talked a lot longer than I meant to, but there's just so much to tell you, and I'm so happy to share it with you. And it's really my first video back in a couple of months. And we have a lot more food from the garden, but we freeze a lot of it. So all our peppers are frozen, all our carrots are in the fridge, all our parsnips are in the fridge, and we did really well with those. Like our potatoes are here. Um, the corn is all frozen. Broccoli, all our broccoli is frozen from the garden. So things that I don't can are in the freezers. And last year I did a freezer inventory and tour with, as well, but I don't think I'm going to be up to that. But I know the stuff that we have to go through. So even though this doesn't represent everything from our garden, I have a whole freezer pretty much just of vegetables from the garden or the like. So there's lots to go through, and I'm anxious to start because I know I've said this before, but we pretty well eat from our garden, our pantry, our freezers most of the time. We do not shop a lot at all, and I'm excited to show you the kinds of meals that we generally eat. We're not fancy cooks, we're not fancy eaters, so we're a lot of meat and potato type people. But anyway, that's it. I'm sorry to ramble. I missed you guys. I just wanted to finally get this video in before the year end and before the pantry challenge started. So thank you so much for spending time with me in my pantry today. And until we're together again, take care.